Today is feeding the 5,000 and walking on water. Now, right now, you don't see any kind of relationship between that, but hopefully you're going to see, as the byline says at the bottom, Jesus is God. The multitudes have begun following after Jesus. Humans are starving today in this life. There are a lot of people who really are physically hungry, and there are a lot of places that have soup kitchens, and there are places where they give out boxes of food, and we have a pantry here in Henry County where you can go and can get groceries if you're hungry. I think all that's good and needful, but that's not the kind of hunger I'm talking about. It's not just physical, it's an inner hunger. It's a hunger to be complete when nothing in the world will complete you. It's a hunger to feel like you are a success when you know that you made so many mistakes, you're not what you ought to be. And so today, people are looking for miracles. Keaton, I got to stop right here, and I've got to say that I saw you last night on television, riding in the parade. Boy, you look good. You did such a good job. Well, people today are looking for miracles to complete them and to make them feel successful and important. And the option is either going to be the world or God. It's the only option you've got. You can look at the world and you can get some sense of success, some sense of acceptance, some sense of glory, but then it will all be taken away from you. The old saying is, you can't take it with you. But the world does offer a quick fix. And it will make you feel good for a little short while, but it just doesn't work. God offers a miracle in your life, and I want to tell you it is a miracle. Now, we don't look at miracles now like they did then. This is a miracle. You can't tell me that there isn't a change when a person becomes a Christian and lives for the Lord, and that's not a normal, regular happening. You can't tell me that when a person is loving and good, that it's not different from the way the world treats people. You can't tell me when people put aside their prejudices and are accepting of people of different races and color, that that's not a miracle. It may not be like we're going to talk about one today or two today, but it's still a miracle. In John chapter 6, on verses 1 through 15 on your outline, we have an account of the feeding of 5,000 people. Now, I don't know if you can look around you and see or not, but there's not quite that many in this room. And I know, ladies, how hard you work when we do have those little get-togethers and how much effort is put into feeding just the number of people that are here. At Springville today, they're going to have a cookout. They're cooking hamburgers and hot dogs. And if any of you want to go down there and eat a free lunch, just go. They'd be glad to have you. But those women have slaved preparing for that feeding. This is a sign, because there's something that God wants you to know about Jesus that you're not going to get anywhere else. There's something in this story that you need. Well, the crowds have gotten larger. Jesus started by calling 12. Now he's got 5,000 people beside him. There may be several reasons for that. One of the reasons may be that Jesus' fame has gone around because he's been doing some miracles. He's been healing some people. He's been doing some teaching that even the scribes and the Pharisees are questioning him on. He's turned the world upside down. And it may be for fame and curiosity that the people come. But remember, John the Baptist has been executed. And his disciples didn't have a leader. And John pointed to Jesus and he said, "Behold the Lamb of God." And he was passing his disciples off to Jesus. So the crowds have gotten larger. This is the springtime. It's the Passover. And there are all kinds of people gathering in Jerusalem. And it just could be that those who have seen the miracles of Jesus have pointed to him there. And people who did not know about him before started following after him. It is the second Passover that is recorded in the Bible in Jesus' life. There were 3 of them, and this is the second one. The scene is by the Sea of Galilee, and that is a cold water, clear water lake. And it is such that even now, fishermen will drink the water out of that sea. It's amazing. We know that it was at least 20 years after the building of the city of Tiberias. It's 20 years since. Because it wasn't built until 20 AD by Herod. Verse 2 says, "And they followed him for the miracles." I want to see what he can do. I want to see what he can do for me. I want to watch this miraculous thing happen. I want to see something going on. He had healed diseases. Later he'll do something that I just don't understand. He picked up the ear of Malchus off the ground and put it back on and healed him. Unreal. Verse 3 says Jesus goes to a mountain because they were going to make him king. That brings us to a point where our life is a test. Now, you don't see a test in this really, but it's there. And I want to show it to you this morning. In verse 5, Jesus asked Philip if he believes Jesus is God. Now, that's not the language, but that's what the question really is. Is Jesus God? And what Jesus says to Philip is, now, where are we going to buy bread for all these people, these 5,000 people? Now, Jesus is the creator. He can bat an eye and feed 5,000 people. That's nothing for him. But Philip, where are we going to get bread? Do you remember, Philip is the one who says, "Lord, show us the Father." And he says, "Philip, have you been with me this long and don't you know if you've seen me, you've seen the Father?" Here's where it starts with Philip. "Philip, where are we going to get bread? There's no Walmarts. There's no Kroger. Where are we going to get bread, Philip?" Now the correct answer, and I need to read you verse 7. The correct answer is that Jesus is the creator. But verse 7 says, "Philip answered him, 200 pennyworth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may take a little." In other words, we can't do it, Lord. 200 pennyworth is 8 months' wages. We can't do it. We can't get enough bread just to give them just a little bit. We can't feed them. Wrong answer, Philip. This is the Son of God you're talking to. This is the one who created the heavens and the earth. Remember, chapter 1 in the book of John said, there was nothing made without him. He can feed the multitude. Oh, how little we have. This morning I was studying in Romans chapter 8, and as I led up to Romans 8, I discussed a little bit about chapter 7. And Paul says in chapter 7, God gave the law to make us righteous, but couldn't keep it. I know what I should do, but I don't do it. And I know what I should not do, but that's the very thing I do. How little we have spiritually. We are people who speak a good thing, but really and truly we are so weak and so small. Philip says, there's a lad here. A lad is a child. There's a child here which hath 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes, but what are they among so many? We don't have enough. With man, the way Philip was thinking, he's right. That little bit's nothing. With man's way of thinking, with man's being able to do, that's nothing. It won't go anywhere. Now, normally people ate wheat bread. They didn't eat barley. That's an important part of the story. It's one of the little underlying things that you need to know what a dire situation this is. Only the poor people ate barley. And they were small loaves, and we know that because this is a child's lunchbox. And the fish were not slabs. They were 2 dried, probably salted fish, maybe much like a sardine. Now you might have can relate that to, I've got 5 crackers and 2 sardines. That's about the amount of food that you're talking about. Not much. It's not going to go anywhere, Lord. That's all we got. That's all that's here. So what are we going to do for food? We don't have enough money to buy it. What are we going to do with food? Well, how much God blesses us. I got up this morning and I went down to Springville and I started working on my stuff, and the copy machine didn't work right. If you get the electronic copy, you saw a fish in the background. You don't see it on the background of your handout. I had to kill it because the copy machine picked it up as a picture and tried to make it dark enough for you to see, which blotted out all the words. And I hadn't figured that copy machine out yet. So, maybe that's one of those ID10T errors. I don't know. Not only did the copy machine not work right, but the lesson you have here is not the lesson I made for you. I don't know where it went. Not only did I lose the lesson here, this is the work copy, the one that I did in Dallas, in Texas, and just started. I hope it goes along with your outline. But I lost the lesson at Springville. I don't know where it went. Not only that, but I was drinking a cup of coffee and my tooth broke. Who breaks a tooth on a styrofoam cup of coffee? Oh, mercy. But in all of that, folks, I'm so blessed. It is such a wonderful day, a beautiful day, and we always need to remember how much God blesses us. Now, if you looked at the crowd of 5,000 people that were hungry, it's hopeless. But if you look at Jesus, all is well. And whenever we have trials and problems and things that we can't surmount, we need to look at Jesus. Verse 10 says there is much grass there. Mark says that grass is green because it's the springtime. It's April. And they sat down. He gave thanks and distributed to the disciples. What did he distribute? Well, those little loaves and those little fishes. And he blessed it. And then they gave to the 5,000 people. And they gave as much as the 5,000 people wanted. That's the first thing. And they were all filled. And when they had eaten as much as they wanted, Jesus had the disciples, to gather 12 baskets of leftovers. Do you know why he did that? It wasn't that he was going to do anything with this food. He said, I don't want this to be lost. I don't want the lesson you've learned to be lost. You started out with those little fishes, those little loaves, and you're gathering in 12 baskets after 5,000 people have eaten. What does it tell you about Jesus? He's God. Because only God can do that. In Deuteronomy chapter 18, verses 15 through 18, Moses said God would raise up a prophet. In verse 14 of our lesson text, then those men, when they had seen the miracle that Jesus did, said, this is of a truth that prophet that should come into the world. The 5,000 recognized Jesus was the one that had been prophesied. We don't know whether the disciples did or not. I mean, you stop and think about it. They have had all kinds of healing going on around them. They've had Jesus teaching them. They should have known. But Lord, there's not a Walmart around. We can't get bread for this many people. We don't have enough money, Lord. What? It's Jesus. He is the prophet that was prophesied. And so the people wanted to make him king. And Jesus withdrew. In the course of his withdrawing, the other accounts say that he sent the disciples across the Sea of Galilee in a boat. This sign tells us who Jesus is. There's only one person that can do that, and that's God. In verse 26, the people find him around the other side of the Sea of Galilee. They come over there, and he tells them, you're looking for me just because of the food. Well, why are we looking for Jesus? What is our faith based on? Is it because I go to heaven instead of hell? That might be an elementary reason for a very shallow faith. It might be a good reason. But I want to find Jesus because he is my creator. He is my God. I want to serve him. And our faith needs to expand. It needs to grow. Tonight's lesson is going to be the stages of faith. And I hope you come back for it. It's a good one. Verse 27, it says, the Son shall give you meat unto eternal life. It is more than just the meat and fish, the fish and bread that you ate. He says, I am the bread of life, and if you partake of me, you will never hunger or thirst. He is not speaking about the physical here either. It is spiritual. Your spirits will be fulfilled. And so people are looking for where they can go to be fulfilled. And the world does not have that answer. I've thrown this in. I'm going to just skip over this manna from heaven. It was a symbol. It means life. And it pictures back to the Old Testament where God gave manna from heaven and they ate and they were filled. That's a piece I just threw in there, so I'm going to skip it. I want you to go away with three things from this part of this lesson. Number one is when Jesus says, I'm the bread of life, you'll never go hungry, it means Jesus saves. And I have added there, he satisfies. Verse 27, he says, labor for food that endures to eternal life. Eternal life is not this life. It is spiritual life. And Jesus gives that. And the third thing is, if you feed on Jesus, you will live. For Jesus is sufficient. If you didn't have anything else but him, you got it all. He is sufficient. But he sends them away, and he doesn't go with them. And these 12 disciples get out here and start rowing across the Sea of Galilee. And a storm comes up. Now, I want you to apply that spiritually, that if you are in life and you don't have Jesus, the storms are going to come. Now, I could have made any one of those things that happened to me this morning out to be a storm. It frustrated me to the point that I couldn't carry on. I could throw up my hands and give up. But no, because those things are, as Steve Wynn says, they're bumps in the road, they're hiccups, they're nothing. Jesus blesses us because he is with us. Well, this event of Jesus walking on the water is a cameo. And by that I mean it is inserted. The sum of the chapter of 6 is that Jesus is the bread of life. He is what you really need to seek. He is what you need to feed on. He is the one. But why is this walking on water stuck in there? I'm going to tell you why I think the Bible doesn't say. I think it's stuck in there because of the question he asked Philip, and Philip gave him the wrong answer. And this is going to show more to the disciples. There's nobody else around, just the disciples. Here is who I am. And so John puts in, if you believe in God, don't fear. Even when the times get tough. And if you find Jesus, you can weather the storms, and I don't care how bad they are. They'll come to you in this life. Well, the storms will come quickly on the Sea of Galilee. It can be a beautiful day there. But there's a mountain range right there, and just over on the other side, it can be storming, and you won't ever know it. You'll be out on the sea fishing away from the shore, and all of a sudden, and it blows in and blows down, and the sea becomes very rough, and boats are sunk all the time on the Sea of Galilee. Well, in our lives, storms arise daily, don't they? Things come up and problems happen. Things that you don't even suspect. That's what happened to these old boys on the sea. Now, they had toiled in the tempest of the stormy sea, and they made very little progress. They'd rowed 3 miles. It's 10 miles across. And they had rowed 3 miles. Now, that sounds like that. They're doing all right. But John says here it was at even. The Greek says second even. And that means twilight. That's when they first started rowing. Matthew says it was the 4th watch. That means between 3 in the morning and 6 in the morning, they had rowed nearly all night long. And 12 people rowing had gone 3 miles. That's almost as hopeless as the 5,000 needing to be fed, isn't it? And they put themselves into it, and they had toiled, John says. They had worked hard in this. And then they see Jesus. Now, we're not going to compare those. We don't have time to do it. We're just going to look at what it says here. They were afraid. Now, a storm is scary. And I'm sure that part of their being afraid is because of the storm. But then they see Jesus walking on the water. Now, that's scary. They knew Jesus, but they didn't know he could walk on water. Now, one of the accounts does say they thought he was a ghost. That wasn't really him. And he said, "It's I. be not afraid. Two things. It is I. It needs to be finished. It's not in the King James. And I don't know of any version that it is finished in. But I've found commentators that said what he's saying is, it is I am. And that changes everything. Because if you remember, when Moses turned to the burning bush, and he asked the question, Lord, who will I say sent me? And God said, I am. And that's what Jesus said here. The second thing in this statement is, he tells me and you, don't be afraid of God. Don't be afraid of God. It's I. He comes in the storms. Now I got to say one thing. I think it's Matthew's account that says this. It says, he would have passed them by, but they called out. And I wonder how many times am I in a world of hurt and I need help and I try myself and I don't ask God and he simply passes me by. Because when they called out to him, he came to them, and that's when he said, it is I, be not afraid. And how often do I need to be asking God for help and I simply rely upon myself? And y'all know me, I'll mess it up. So when you find Jesus in the storms of the world, it is settling, it is security for you to take him in. And so they willingly received him in verse 21. Now, it'd have been unwise to turn away from Jesus, wouldn't it? I mean, he's out there and he's calming the storm down and he's come to them to help them. And, you don't want to turn him away. And yet many people do that today. They don't receive him willingly. Is it because they don't see him walking on the water? They didn't watch him feed the 5,000? They didn't watch him heal all those diseases? It might be. But the scripture says that happened, and nobody should refuse Jesus because he offers to them salvation, comfort, joy, and you can take that list on out as far as you want to. Don't refuse Jesus. So let's close the lesson down now. See, I'm letting you go pretty early. Maybe 2 or 3 minutes over. Signs in the book of John are markers that need to be carefully watched. You need to feel, you need to see, you need to understand what John's trying to do. And this account in chapter 6 declares the divinity of Jesus when he fed the 5,000 with very little food and gathered up much more than he had to start with. And also the walking on water. It is a physical thing to us. It is nothing to Jesus. It is a miraculous thing to us, and yet God does it all the time. And what we need to see in this is that Jesus is where I need to be, where I need to go, where I need to turn my life over to. He is God. And the signs need to be heeded. You need to look at them. You need to listen to them. You need to learn from them. The signs of John are written that you might believe. As the bread of life, he's the only answer to our spiritual problems. There is none other. As I thought about this last night, I thought about, do we put too much of an emphasis on the church? I don't know that we do. But on the other hand, He is the answer. And when we've accomplished getting to Him and touching Him, He puts us in the church. We don't have anything to do with that. He puts us in the church. Acts 2:47 says so. And so my emphasis needs to be on getting to Jesus and in being in fellowship with Him and obedient to Him and serving Him, and then let God put me in the church. I think that's extremely important in this day and time. Then He is the only answer to our problems in the world. I've already given you one lesson on Sunday night where in 2 Chronicles, God said, if my people who call themselves by my name will humble themselves, and that includes repent, and will pray, I will hear them and I will heal the nation. That's not talking about the United States of America, people. Even though I think the principle works. It is talking about the people of God, which now is the church. If my people who call themselves by my name will humble themselves and pray, I will come to them, I will hear them, and I will heal the nation. He is the only answer to our spiritual problems and to the problems in the world. He is God. He's the only one that could feed 5,000 with a child's lunchbox. He's the only one that can walk on water. And He is the only one that can give us the answer to our lives. What do I need to do? What do I need to be? How do I need to think? How do I need to feel? How do I need to respond? He is the only one that can do that.